So we've already discussed how to install TensorFlow when we discussed how to install in the Python chapter, the very first chapter of this course. We discussed how to install TensorFlow, but I'll just recap it and also provide you some nice links which you can use, right? So this is a very nice link on tensorflow.org, which is a website which hosts a lot of information about TensorFlow. And here we are in the installation page for Windows. If you have a Mac or Ubuntu, you can also always click here and you will get instructions to install. And installation is very, very simple. Since most of our students have a Windows system, the most important thing, this is a place where a lot of students go wrong. You need a 64-bit Windows 7 or later. Okay, you need a 64-bit Windows. If you have a 32-bit Windows, TensorFlow cannot be made to work. I recommend you change your Windows installation, your Windows operating system to a 64-bit operating system to Windows 7 or later. And you can do it both on your desktops and laptops, right? And if you have a GPU, if you already have a GPU, you can install TensorFlow with GPU support, but for that you would need an NVIDIA GPU, right? Or if you don't have a GPU, which is what is the case with most of our students, you can just install with only CPU support. That's perfectly okay. If you want to install with GPU, right, you need to install something called as CUDA, right? CUDA is basically a toolkit that NVIDIA provides. And you can go here to see NVIDIA's documentation on installing CUDA, right? If you don't have it, you don't have to do it. Don't worry about it. If you don't have a GPU, right, you don't have to install this. If you have a GPU, you will have to install CUDA support through NVIDIA's documentation. Now, as far as TensorFlow is concerned itself, there are two ways, as we have discussed in the Python chapter. You can install using pip or Anaconda. With pip, it's very, very simple. It's literally one line. Right? So I'm assuming you have Python 3.5 or 3.6. Okay, you need to have Python 3 version. And all you have to say is pip3 install -- upgrade TensorFlow. This will install your CPU-based TensorFlow in a few minutes. Okay, based on your internet speed. If you want a GPU version of TensorFlow, you just have to say TensorFlow -GPU. But again, mind it, if you're installing a GPU version of TensorFlow, you need to install CUDA drivers and CUDA toolkit from NVIDIA's website. And all the information for that is presented here. And it changes and the installation of the CUDA drivers changes from one graphics card to other graphics card. Okay, and in my laptop, I'm using a Mac. I don't have an NVIDIA graphics card, and hence I'll not be able to show you right here. But it's very, very simple. All you can just Google search, install CUDA Toolkit 9.0, right? And it should be very, very easy. There are lots of tools out there to install CUDA drivers. And if you're a gamer and you have a GPU on your laptop, this should be straightforward, right? You might have already installed some of these for your graphics card, right? Having said that, the second option is to use Anaconda, right? You create a Anaconda TensorFlow. So this is a command to which you get it, right? And then you activate TensorFlow. Then you simply install pip, right? You're upgrading the GPU, the CPU version or the GPU version. Once you've done it, if you want to validate this is very important. If you want to validate if TensorFlow is working or not, this is a simple thing. If you're using Python 3, just say Python 3, or if you're just open up the Python terminal, just import TensorFlow and say TensorFlow.constant. So you're defining a constant called hello world and you're giving it into a variable called hello. You're starting a TensorFlow session and you're saying run it. What this would do, it would just simply print hello TensorFlow. I'll explain you what is a session and all of it in one of the future videos in this chapter itself. But for now, this is a simple 4 lines of command that you can run to ensure that TensorFlow is working for you. Okay. So my recommendation whenever you're installing TensorFlow is to first install the CPU version, test if everything is working. Installing the CPU version is very easy. Then to install the GPU version. Okay, this is slightly harder, not very hard. This is slightly harder to install, but there is a lot of tutorials, there are lots of videos which explain you. For GPU, basically you have to install CUDA and other toolkits, right, which are provided by NVIDIA. Except that everything else is very, very simple. Right? This is a very simple way, and there is a list of problems that you might encounter. Similarly, if you have a Mac, you can mostly use pip and other stuff. I use pip. For Ubuntu also you can install with pip. Okay, but you require 64-bit Ubuntu or 64-bit Windows, right? Again, it's very very simple. You can just do it with pip. Pip has been always the favorite method for me, but those of you who are comfortable with Anaconda can try Anaconda also. So I'll provide you the link to this tensorflow.org install Windows, where you can get this very nice tutorial. But remember, we have already seen this installation in the Python chapter. I'm only revisiting it so that people are not lost.